My daughter-in-law stood in my kitchen with her arms crossed, her voice cold and sharp as winter ice. "My family always comes first. You are always last." The words hit me like a physical blow, and I felt my chest tighten, the room spinning slightly around me. This wasn't supposed to happen. Not here, not in the home it opened to her, not after everything it'd done. My son Ryan stood behind her, his eyes glued to his phone, saying absolutely nothing in my defense. I gripped the dish towel in my trembling hands and looked at Amanda's face, seeing not a flicker of remorse. Something inside me shifted in that moment. Something that had been bending for years finally snapped into place. I swallowed hard and heard myself say, quietly but clearly, "Good to know." After they left that evening, I sat alone in my living room, staring at the family photos on the mantel. My late husband Tom smiled back at me from a frame, forever frozen at 66, 2 years before his heart attack took him from me. We'd been teachers together for 30 years, raised Ryan to be kind and generous, saved carefully, and built a comfortable life. When Tom died, he left me secure but not wealthy. The house was paid off, we had decent savings, and between his pension and mine, I could live comfortably without worrying about every dollar. But somewhere along the way, Id stopped being Carol, the woman with her own dreams and plans, and became just Carol, the convenient grandmother and family bank. Ryan was our only child, 38 years old now, and had married Amanda 6 years ago. She was 35, came from a large, loud family, and always seemed to be managing some crisis or another. They had 2 beautiful children, Sophie, who just turned 5, and Jake, who was 3. I lived 30 minutes away from them, close enough to help but far enough to maintain some independence. At least, that's what I told myself. The past 3 years had been a blur of giving. When Ryan and Amanda were looking for a house, I contributed $20,000 from Tom's life insurance toward their down payment. It felt right at the time, helping my son establish his family. Then came the requests for furniture. I bought bedroom sets for both kids, top-quality pieces that would last. When Sophie needed preschool, Amanda mentioned the cost was steep, and somehow I found myself paying the tuition, $1,500 for 4 months. I babysat every Tuesday and Thursday without fail, and most weekends when they wanted date nights or time with Amanda's family. I didn't mind at first. I loved my grandchildren fiercely, and being with them eased the loneliness that had settled into my bones after Tom died. But then came Amanda's brother Michael. He was 28, chronically unemployed, always chasing the next big opportunity that never materialized. Amanda came to me with tears in her eyes, explaining how Michael needed $5,000 to avoid eviction. She promised he'd pay me back within 6 months. I wrote the check. That was 18 months ago, and I'd never heard a word about repayment. Last year, Amanda suggested we all take a family vacation. Disney World, she said, would be magical for the kids. I agreed immediately, excited to make memories with my grandchildren. When the bills started coming in, I realized I'd somehow agreed to pay for everything. The hotel, the park tickets, the meals, the souvenirs. $8,000 later, I had photos of smiling faces and a significantly lighter bank account. I hosted every holiday at my house. Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, 4th of July. I bought all the food, cooked all the meals, bought gifts for everyone. Amanda's parents, Patricia and Gerald, would show up with her siblings, eat heartily, and leave without offering to help clean up. Amanda would be on her phone, Ryan would be watching television with the other men, and I'd be in the kitchen until midnight, loading the dishwasher alone. I made meals for Ryan and Amanda's family twice a week, dropping off casseroles and soups, doing their grocery shopping when Amanda mentioned she was too busy. I never questioned it. This was what grandmothers did, wasn't it? This was love, wasn't it? But love was supposed to flow both ways. And lately, I'd started to notice the current only moved in one direction. The breaking point came 3 weeks ago. Ryan's 40th birthday was approaching, and I suggested hosting a small dinner at my house. Just close family, I said. Maybe a nice meal and a cake. Amanda's response was immediate and dismissive. We're doing it at my parents' house. It's already planned. When I expressed hurt feelings, she rolled her eyes and told me I was being dramatic. Then came this week. Id gathered my courage and mentioned wanting to have a small, quiet dinner on what would have been Tom's 68th birthday. Just me, Ryan, Amanda, and the kids. Nothing fancy, just spaghetti and garlic bread, Tom's favorite meal. I wanted to tell the children stories about their grandfather, show them old photos, keep his memory alive. Amanda's face had hardened immediately. We already committed to Diane's birthday party that day. Diane was Amanda's younger sister. I suggested gently that maybe we could do both, or perhaps celebrate Diane the evening before. It wasn't unreasonable, was it? That's when Amanda said it. Standing in my kitchen, the kitchen where Id fed her countless meals, where Id rocked her babies to sleep, where Id listened to her problems and offered advice and support. She looked me dead in the eye and said, "My family always comes first. You are always last." The cruelty of it took my breath away. Not well, figure it out, or I'm sorry. The timing is difficult. Just a flat declaration that I ranked at the bottom of her priority list while being expected to remain at the top of her resource list. Ryan, my son, the boy Id raised to stand up for what was right, just stood there scrolling through his phone. When I looked at him, hoping for support, he muttered, "Come on, Mom. Don't make this difficult. Don't make this difficult." As if I was the problem, as if setting a boundary or expressing a need was somehow unreasonable. I set down the dish towel I'd been clutching and looked at Amanda. Something had crystallized in that moment, something cold and clear and unbreakable. "Good to know," I said quietly. "Thank you for making that so clear." Amanda looked momentarily surprised, as if she'd expected tears or an apology or an immediate backtrack. But I just excused myself, claiming a headache, and asked them to see themselves out. They left confused, probably expecting me to call later and apologize, to smooth everything over like I always did. But I didn't call. Instead, I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop and started looking at my bank accounts. I pulled up statements from the past 3 years and began adding numbers. 20,000 for their house, 5,000 for bedroom furniture, 1,500 for preschool, 5,000 for Michael, 8,000 for Disney. Hundreds for weekly groceries, thousands for holiday dinners and gifts. The total made my hands shake. $75,000. In 3 years, I'd given them $75,000, and in return, I'd been told I was always last. I picked up my phone and called my financial advisor, Martha. Her voicemail picked up, and I left a message. "Martha, it's Carol Henderson. I need to see you first thing Monday morning. It's time to make some changes." I hung up and looked around my kitchen. For the first time in 3 years, I felt something other than grief or obligation. I felt anger. Clean, sharp, clarifying anger. And underneath it, something even more powerful. Determination. If I was always going to be last in their priorities, then it was time I became first in my own. Monday morning, I sat across from Martha in her office downtown. She was 55, whip-smart, and had been handling Tom's and my finances for 20 years. She looked at me over her reading glasses with concern. "Carol, you sounded urgent on the phone. Is everything okay?" I pulled out the folder I'd prepared over the weekend, page after page of bank statements, highlighted in yellow. Every withdrawal, every check, every transfer to Ryan and Amanda over the past 3 years. "I need to make some changes," I said, my voice steady. "Big changes." Martha reviewed the documents, her eyebrows climbing higher with each page. When she finished, she set them down and folded her hands. $75,000. $75,000. I confirmed. And I just realized I've been subsidizing their entire lifestyle while being treated like an afterthought. "What do you want to do?" "I want to protect myself. I want separate accounts they can't access. I want to change my beneficiaries. I want to make sure that my money is mine again." Martha smiled, the kind of smile that said she'd been waiting for this conversation. "Let's get started." By noon, I'd opened a separate savings account and transferred $60,000 into it. Half of my liquid savings, completely separate from my main account. I changed the beneficiaries on all my accounts, removing Ryan and adding my childhood friend Susan, and a charity for children's literacy that Tom and I had always supported. I canceled the credit card I'd given Ryan for emergencies and discovered they'd been using it for regular purchases, including a $300 dinner at an upscale steakhouse last month. Martha helped me calculate exactly how much I could comfortably live on, travel on, and enjoy life on without touching my principal savings. The number was generous. I'd been living like a pauper while funding everyone else's comfort. "What else?" Martha asked. "I want to live," I said simply. "I want to take that watercolor painting class I've been putting off. I want to book the trip to Santa Fe that Tom and I always talked about. I want to join that investment group Dorothy mentioned." "Dorothy Chen? From your book club?" "Yes. She said her group is looking for new members." "Carol, that's a solid group. Smart women, good returns. I think you'd enjoy it." I left Martha's office feeling lighter than I had in years. My next stop was the community center, where I enrolled in an advanced watercolor class taught by a local artist named Helen Morrison. The class met every Wednesday evening for 8 weeks. I paid the $200 fee without hesitation. Then I went home and booked a trip to Santa Fe. 2 weeks in October, including a painting workshop retreat that Tom had circled in a brochure years ago. The dates happened to overlap with Ryan's 40th birthday, but I didn't let myself feel guilty. I'd offered to celebrate with him. Amanda had refused. That was her choice. The first test came on Wednesday. Amanda texted me at 3 in the afternoon. "Can you watch the kids tomorrow? We have plans." I stared at the message for a long moment. Every instinct screamed at me to say yes, to accommodate, to be available. But I thought about Amanda's words. Always last. I typed back, "I have plans tomorrow. Sorry." My phone rang within 2 minutes. Amanda's number. "What plans?" she demanded without preamble. "Personal plans," I said calmly. "I'm not available." "Personal plans?" "Carol, we really need you. We have dinner reservations. I'm sure you can find another sitter. There are several good services in your area." "Services? Those cost money." "Yes, they do." "I'm sorry I can't help this time." Silence on the other end? "Then, fine. Whatever." She hung up. I set down my phone, my hands trembling but my resolve firm. It was the first time in 6 years I'd said no to a babysitting request. Ryan called an hour later. "Mom? What's going on?" "Amanda's really upset. I have plans tomorrow." I repeated, "I'm not available to babysit." "Don't be petty." The word stung. Petty. As if having my own life was petty. I'm not being petty, Ryan. I'm being realistic. Your wife made it very clear where I stand in the family hierarchy. I'm simply adjusting my behavior accordingly. "Mom, come on. I'll talk to you later, sweetheart. I have to go." I hung up gently but firmly. That weekend, I had my painting class. Helen praised my work, saying I had a natural eye for color and composition. I met a woman named Barbara, 68, recently retired from nursing. We grabbed coffee after class and discovered we had a lot in common, including adult children who'd taken advantage of our generosity. "I cut my daughter off financially 2 years ago," Barbara said. "Best decision I ever made. It took her a year, but she finally apologized and now we have a real relationship." "How did you find the strength?" "I realized I wasn't helping her. I was enabling her. There's a difference." Her words resonated deep in my chest. The following Tuesday, I ran into Patricia, Amanda's mother, at the grocery store. I'd been avoiding the store near their house, but I needed a specific brand of olive oil and this was the only place that carried it. "Carol," Patricia gushed, her arms full of expensive cuts of meat, "so good to see you. We're having the kitchen redone. Marble countertops, new appliances, the works." Gerald is beside himself with excitement. "That sounds lovely," I said politely, trying to move past her. "Oh, and Amanda mentioned you'd agreed to help with Sophie's dental work next month. Those braces are going to run $12,000, but you know how important straight teeth are. We're so grateful for your generosity." I froze. $12,000? "I'd never agreed to any such thing," Patricia continued, oblivious to my shock. And of course, we're thrilled you're covering Jennifer's wedding photography. 5,000 is such a generous gift. Jennifer is just over the moon. I felt my face flush hot, then cold. Amanda had been promising my money to her entire family without asking me. Without even telling me. I took a deep breath and smiled at Patricia, the smile not reaching my eyes. Actually, Patricia, I think there's been a misunderstanding. Patricia's expression faltered. A misunderstanding? Yes. I won't be able to help with either of those things. You'll need to make other arrangements. But Amanda said you'd already agreed. Amanda was mistaken. I never agreed to fund anyone's dental work or wedding expenses. She should not have told you otherwise. Patricia's face darkened. But we've been counting on that money. Jennifer has already booked the photographer. Then I suggest she contact the photographer to discuss payment options. I'm sorry for any confusion, but the answer is no. I walked away, my heart pounding like a drum in my chest. Behind me, I heard Patricia sputter something, but I didn't turn around. I finished my shopping in record time and drove home, gripping the steering wheel to keep my hands from shaking. That evening, my phone exploded. Amanda called 6 times. I let it go to voicemail. Finally, I listened to the messages. How could you embarrass me in front of my mother? The first one. We were counting on that money. How are we supposed to pay for Sophie's braces now? The second. After everything we've done for you, this is how you repay us. The third. I deleted them all and blocked Amanda's number. Then I called Ryan. He picked up on the first ring. Mom, what the hell? Did you know Amanda promised my money to her family? 12,000 for Sophie's braces, 5,000 for Jennifer's wedding photography. Silence. Ryan? Did you know? She mentioned something about the braces. And you didn't think to ask me first. We figured you'd want to help. You figured. You assumed. You never asked. Mom, Sophie needs braces. Sophie is 5 years old, Ryan. 5. She still has baby teeth. She doesn't need braces for years. And even if she did, that's your responsibility as her parent, not mine. We can't afford it. Then you save for it. You budget for it. You do what every other parent does. You don't volunteer your mother's money without her knowledge or consent. You're being really cold about this. No. I'm being realistic. For the first time in 3 years, I'm being realistic about what this relationship actually is. I heard Amanda's voice in the background, shrill and angry. Ryan said, Amanda wants to talk to you. I've blocked her number. If she has something to say, she can say it to me in person, calmly and respectfully. Otherwise, I don't want to hear it. I hung up and turned off my phone. The next morning, Dorothy knocked on my door with a bottle of wine and a knowing smile. I heard through the grapevine that you've been setting some boundaries, she said. I let her in, grateful for the company. Word travels fast. Small community. Patricia was at the garden club meeting yesterday, complaining about ungrateful family members. Susan put 2 and 2 together. I poured us both wine, even though it was only 11 in the morning, and told Dorothy everything. She listened without interruption, nodding occasionally, her face sympathetic but approving. When I finished, she raised her glass. Good for you. I did the same thing with my daughter 20 years ago. Best decision of my life. Did she ever forgive you? It took 2 years. But yes, and now we have a genuine relationship based on mutual respect, not financial obligation. Dorothy set down her glass and looked at me seriously. Carol, my investment group meets Thursday evenings. We pool our money for small business investments. Nothing risky, but better returns than a savings account. Would you be interested? I'd love that. And my friend Rachel runs a senior travel group. We're going to Portugal in October. I'm going to Santa Fe in October. Perfect. Then join us for the Christmas trip to Vienna. I felt tears prick my eyes, not from sadness, but from possibility. For the first time since Tom died, I saw a future that was about more than babysitting schedules and family obligations. I saw adventure, friendship, growth. I'm in, I said. Dorothy clinked her glass against mine. Welcome to the rest of your life. The next 3 weeks were a masterclass in manipulation, Amanda's family launched a coordinated campaign to break my resolve, using every tool in their arsenal: guilt, obligation, and most painfully, my grandchildren. It started with Jennifer, Amanda's younger sister. She called on a Tuesday evening, her voice thick with tears. "Carol, please, I'm begging you. My wedding is in 4 months. I've already put a deposit down on the photographer Amanda recommended. If I cancel now, I lose $2,000. I can't afford both. Please, can't you help?" I kept my voice gentle but firm. "Jennifer, I'm sorry you're in this position, but I never agreed to pay for your photography. But Amanda said you would. She promised. Amanda should not have made promises on my behalf. I'm not responsible for her commitments, but we're family. Then perhaps your family should have treated me like family instead of like a wallet," she gasped. "How can you say that?" "Because it's true. I'm sorry about your wedding, truly. But you'll need to find another solution." She hung up sobbing, and I felt terrible. But I also knew that Jennifer was 32 years old, employed full-time, and perfectly capable of either negotiating with her photographer or choosing a less expensive option. The following Sunday, Amanda showed up unannounced with both children. She knocked rapidly on my door, and when I opened it, Sophie and Jake rushed past me into the house. "Grandma." Sophie threw her arms around my legs. "We missed you so much." My heart clenched. I scooped her up and held her close, breathing in the strawberry scent of her shampoo. Jake toddled over, wanting to be picked up too, and I managed to hold both of them, my back protesting but my heart full. Amanda stood in the doorway, arms crossed, a calculated expression on her face. "They've been asking about you constantly," she said. "I told them Grandma doesn't want to see them anymore." The words hit like a slap. I set the children down gently. "Sophie, Jake, why don't you go play with the toys in the living room? I need to talk to your mommy for a minute." They scampered off, and I turned to Amanda, keeping my voice low and controlled. "Don't you ever use my grandchildren as weapons against me." "I'm not. I'm just telling them the truth. You've been avoiding us." "No, I've been setting boundaries. There's a difference. Boundaries." She spat the word like it was poison. "You're teaching them that love is conditional. That Grandma only cares if we do what she wants. I'm teaching them that relationships require mutual respect, that you can love someone and still expect to be treated with dignity." Sophie appeared in the doorway, her little face confused. "Grandma, Mommy says you don't love us anymore because we didn't come to your sad dinner." I dropped to my knees, taking Sophie's hands. "Sweetheart, I love you more than all the stars in the sky. I love you and your brother so, so much. Grandma is just learning to take care of herself too. That doesn't mean I love you any less." "Then why did you tell Mommy no when she asked you to watch us?" "Because Grandma had other plans that day." "Grown-ups are allowed to have plans too." Amanda's voice cut in. "See? Even you admit you chose your plans over them." I stood up, facing Amanda directly. "I chose to have a life beyond being at your beck and call. That's not the same thing as not loving my grandchildren. Whatever helps you sleep at night." She called to the kids. "Sophie, Jake, let's go. Grandma's busy." "But we just got here," Sophie protested. "Grandma doesn't want us here." Amanda grabbed Jake's hand. "That's not true," I said firmly, looking at Sophie. "You're always welcome here. Always. But your mommy and I need to work some things out first." Amanda's face twisted. "This is what you're teaching them. Selfishness." "No. I'm teaching them that love doesn't mean allowing yourself to be used. I hope someday they'll understand that." She left with the children, and I closed the door, leaning against it, tears finally coming. This was harder than I'd imagined. Every instinct screamed at me to call her back, to apologize, to make things right. But I knew making things right meant returning to the status quo, where I was last in priority but first in financial expectations. Ryan came alone the following Saturday. He looked uncomfortable, clearly sent by Amanda but not entirely sure of his mission. "Mom? Can we talk?" I made coffee and we sat at the kitchen table, the same table where Hed done his homework as a child, where Tom and I had discussed our days, where so many family dinners had been shared. What's going on, Ryan? Amanda's really hurt. She feels like you've abandoned us. I haven't abandoned anyone. I've stopped allowing myself to be taken for granted. She's worried about Sophie's braces. Sophie is 5. The dentist said she'll need them eventually. I pulled out my folder, the one I'd been keeping. I'd added to it since my meeting with Martha, tracking every expense, every contribution. Ryan, in the past 3 years, I've given you and Amanda $75,000. His face paled. It's not that much. I opened the folder and showed him. Every entry, every check, every withdrawal, highlighted and dated. He stared at the pages, his mouth opening and closing. I didn't realize, neither did I until I added it up. $75,000, Ryan. And in that same time period, how many times have you asked me how I'm doing? How I'm coping with your father's death? What I might need? He looked down at his hands. I'll tell you. 0. Not once. Every conversation has been about what you need, what the kids need, what Amanda's family needs. I've been a resource, not a person. That's not fair, Mom. Isn't it? When was the last time you came over just to spend time with me? Not to pick up money or drop off the kids, but just to talk. He couldn't answer. I continued, gentler now. I love you, Ryan. You're my son, and I'd do anything for you. But there's a difference between helping and being used. And somewhere along the way, we crossed that line. So what do you want from us? I want to be treated like I matter, like my time has value, like my feelings are important. I want you to ask, not assume. And I want you to stand up for me when Amanda treats me poorly. She's my wife. And I'm your mother. Those aren't mutually exclusive. You can love and support both of us without allowing one to disrespect the other. Ryan rubbed his face. She's really angry about the braces thing. And the wedding photography for Jennifer, neither of which I ever agreed to. Amanda promised my money without asking me. That's not okay. We really are tight financially right now. Then maybe it's time to look at your budget. You live in a 4-bedroom house with granite countertops and a finished basement. Amanda drives a 3-year-old SUV. You eat out at least twice a week. Maybe there are areas you can cut back. You make it sound so easy. I make it sound like what every other family does. You budget. You save. You prioritize. You don't volunteer your mother's retirement savings without her permission. He left without resolution, and I felt the weight of it, but I also felt something else. Clarity. For the first time, I'd named what had been happening. I'd held up a mirror, and whether or not Ryan could see his reflection was up to him. My painting class became my sanctuary. Helen praised my progress, and Barbara and I had coffee after every session. My investment group meetings on Thursday evenings gave me a sense of purpose beyond family. We discussed market trends, reviewed business proposals, debated risk versus reward. I felt my brain engaging in ways it hadn't in years. I booked my Santa Fe trip officially, paying the full amount. 2 weeks in October, including the painting workshop. Ryan's 40th birthday fell right in the middle of my trip. When Amanda found out, probably from seeing my Facebook post about the workshop, she called from a number I hadn't blocked. Her voice was ice. You're missing Ryan's 40th birthday. I offered to celebrate with him before I leave. You said no. Because we're having a party. And you're supposed to be there. I'll send a gift. I'm sure he'll have a wonderful time with your family. People will talk. They'll wonder where you are. Then tell them the truth. I'm in Santa Fe fulfilling a dream I shared with my late husband. You're doing this to punish us. No, Amanda. We discussed market trends, reviewed business proposals, debated risk versus reward. I felt my brain engaging in ways it hadn't in years. I booked my Santa Fe trip officially, paying the full amount, 2 weeks in October, including the painting workshop. Ryan's 40th birthday fell right in the middle of my trip. When Amanda found out, probably from seeing my Facebook post about the workshop, she called from a number I hadn't blocked. Her voice was ice. You're missing Ryan's 40th birthday. I offered to celebrate with him before I leave. You said no. Because we're having a party. And you're supposed to be there. I'll send a gift. I'm sure he'll have a wonderful time with your family. People will talk. They'll wonder where you are, then tell them the truth. I'm in Santa Fe, fulfilling a dream I shared with my late husband. You're doing this to punish us. No, Amanda. Let me think about it, I said. That afternoon, Patricia left a voicemail on my home phone, which I'd forgotten to disconnect. Carol, this is Patricia. Gerald and I are very disappointed in your behavior. We've always considered you family, but your attitude lately has been completely unacceptable. We're coming to your house tomorrow at 2 o'clock to discuss your responsibilities to this family. Well, see you then. My jaw dropped. They were coming to tell me my responsibilities? I called Martha back. File the small claims suit against Michael. I want it in writing that I expect repayment. You're sure? Absolutely. And can you help me draft a formal letter to Ryan and Amanda? I want everything documented from now on, every financial boundary, every expectation. I want it in writing so there's no confusion. Martha's voice carried a smile. Now you're thinking like someone who values themselves. I'll have the papers ready for you when you get back from Santa Fe. I hung up and looked around my house. My suitcase sat packed by the door. My painting supplies were carefully organized in a new travel case. I'd printed my boarding pass and workshop schedule. In 2 days, I'd be on a plane to New Mexico, stepping into a life I'd been putting off for years. Amanda could host Ryan's party, Patricia could lecture an empty house, and I would be watching the sunset over the mountains, paintbrush in hand, finally putting myself first. The war wasn't over, but for the first time, I was fighting back, and I was winning. The morning of my flight, I woke at 5 with excitement humming through my veins. Susan was picking me up at 8 to drive me to the airport. My flight left at 11:30, putting me in Santa Fe by mid-afternoon local time. I'd have time to check into my casita, explore the plaza, maybe find a good restaurant for dinner. I was loading my suitcase into Susan's trunk when Ryan's car tore into my driveway, tires screeching. My heart jumped into my throat. Both Ryan and Amanda leaped out, and I knew immediately something was wrong. Amanda's face was blotchy and swollen from crying. Ryan looked panicked, his hair uncombed, his shirt wrinkled. What happened? I dropped my suitcase and rushed toward them. Is it the kids? It's Michael, Ryan said, his voice shaking. Has been in a car accident. A bad one. My stomach dropped despite everything that had happened between us. Is he alive? Yes, but barely. Amanda sobbed. He needs surgery. Emergency surgery on his spine. They said without it, he could be paralyzed. My hand flew to my mouth. That's terrible. I'm so sorry. Amanda gripped my arms. He doesn't have insurance. He lost his job 3 months ago and let his coverage lapse. The surgery costs $80,000. They won't do it without a deposit. Ryan stepped forward. We need $40,000 by the end of today, or they won't schedule him. I felt Susan move closer behind me, a silent support. That's a lot of money. My parents have given $20,000, Amanda said, tears streaming. Ryan and I can scrape together 10. We need you to cover the other 10,000. Please, Carol, please. Silence stretched between us. Part of me wanted to help. Michael was young, stupid sometimes, but he didn't deserve to be paralyzed. But another part of me, the part that had spent the last month learning about boundaries and self-worth, hesitated. Have you contacted the hospital financial aid office? I asked. There's no time for that. Amanda's voice rose. We need the money today. What about a payment plan? Most hospitals offer them for uninsured patients. They want the deposit before they'll schedule surgery. What about Michael's father? Your other siblings? Ryan's jaw tightened. Everyone's tapped out. Mom, you're our only option. Not can you help. Not, would you consider. Our only option, as if I existed solely to solve their financial emergencies. I'm sorry, I said quietly, but no. The word hung in the air like smoke. Amanda's eyes widened. What did you say? I said no. I can't help. Can't or won't. Ryan's voice was sharp. Does it matter? Amanda exploded. You selfish witch. My brother could be paralyzed for life. And that's horrible, I said, keeping my voice level. It's absolutely horrible. But I'm not responsible for his medical bills. You have the money, Amanda shrieked. I know you do. You're just punishing us. How I spend my money is my decision, Amanda. Ryan stepped forward. Mom, how can you be so cold? This is a man's life we're talking about. I took a deep breath, feeling Susan's hand on my shoulder. Let me tell you what's really happening here. You're asking me to give $10,000 to a man who currently owes me $5,000 that he borrowed 18 months ago and has never repaid. He hasn't even acknowledged the debt. Ryan looked shocked. Michael owes you money. Did you know that Amanda has been promising my money to her entire family without asking me? $12,000 for Sophie's braces. $5,000 for Jennifer's wedding. I found out about both from Patricia in a grocery store. Ryan turned to Amanda. You did that. Their family? Amanda shot back. Of course I told them you'd help. No, I said firmly. You told them it'd pay. Without asking. Without my consent. Just like you're demanding I pay now. I looked at Ryan directly. In the past 3 years, I've put $75,000 into your lives. $75,000, Ryan. I've been the first person you call when you need money, and the last person you consider when making plans. Amanda made that crystal clear when she told me her family comes first and I'm always last. That was just words, Mom. This is Michael's life. Those words mattered to me. And this demand, right now, shows me nothing has changed. You show up, you make demands, you expect compliance. There's no request, no consideration, just an assumption that I exist to fund your emergencies. Amanda grabbed my arm hard enough to hurt. So you'll let my brother suffer because your feelings got hurt. I gently but firmly removed her hand. No. I'm declining to rescue adults who have consistently shown me that my only value is my checkbook. I hope Michael gets the help he needs. I genuinely do. But it won't come from me. Susan spoke up for the first time. We have a plane to catch. I picked up my suitcase handle and moved toward the car. Amanda collapsed against Ryan, sobbing. Please, I'm begging you, I'll do anything. I'll apologize for everything I said. Just please help my brother. I stopped, my hand on the car door. For a moment, I wavered. The sound of her grief was real, visceral, but I thought about the GoFundMe page I'd seen for other medical emergencies. I thought about hospital charity programs and payment plans. I thought about the fact that they'd come to me last, after everyone else, as a guaranteed source of money. I'm sorry, I said again. I truly am. But no, I got in Susan's car. As we backed out of the driveway, I saw Amanda fall to her knees, Ryan trying to hold her up. The image seared itself into my brain. Susan drove in silence for several minutes before speaking. That was one of the hardest things I've ever watched anyone do. My hands were shaking. Did I just make a terrible mistake? No, honey. You held a boundary. That's not a mistake. Her brother could be paralyzed. Her brother had choices. He chose not to maintain insurance. His family chose to come to you last, after everyone else. They chose to frame it as a demand, rather than a request. You didn't create this emergency, Carol. They're trying to make their emergency your responsibility. I stared out the window. My excitement for Santa Fe completely evaporated, replaced by a sick churning in my stomach. At the airport, Susan walked me to security. Carol, I want you to do something for me. What? Turn off your phone. Don't check it again until you land. Don't let them ruin this trip. But what if something happens? What if Michael? If there's a real emergency? They know how to reach you through the airline. But I suspect what's going to happen is you're going to get bombarded with guilt trips and manipulation. Don't give them that power. You've made your decision. Stand by it. I hugged her tightly. Thank you for being here. Always. Now go. Paint some beautiful pictures. Eat some good food. Remember who you are beyond being their ATM. I went through security, my phone buzzing constantly in my purse. At the gate, I pulled it out. 63 missed calls, 47 texts. Messages from Ryan, Amanda, Patricia, Gerald, Jennifer, Diane. Even people I barely knew. How could you? Hess in the hospital suffering and you're on vacation. We'll never forgive you for this. You're dead to this family. Each message cut deeper than the last. But I noticed something. None of them explained how they planned to get the money. None of them mentioned the hospital refusing treatment. It was all about my refusal, my selfishness, my cruelty. I turned off my phone. On the plane, I sat next to a woman about my age. She was reading a book about boundaries and toxic family dynamics. I must have stared at the cover too long because she looked up and smiled. "Good book. Wish I'd read it 20 years ago. I'm living it right now," I said. We talked for the entire flight. Her name was Linda. She was 68, a retired nurse from Boston. She was heading to the same painting workshop. When I told her my story, she listened without judgment. "I worked in hospitals for 40 years, Linda said. "I can tell you right now, nobody gets denied emergency surgery. They're required by law to stabilize him. The deposit is for scheduling elective procedures or for priority timing. If he truly needs emergency surgery to prevent paralysis, they'll do it. Hell, leave with a massive bill, but they'll work out payment plans, financial aid, charity care." "Are you sure?" "Absolutely. I've seen it thousands of times. Patients without insurance get the same life-saving care. They just have to deal with the financial aftermath, which is tough but manageable. Your family is guilt-tripping you." The relief that washed over me was profound. They made it sound like he'd be left to become paralyzed if they didn't get the money immediately. That's manipulation. Classic emotional blackmail. If you'd given them the money, you'd have enabled that behavior forever. They'd know exactly which buttons to push. I leaned back in my seat, processing this. "I almost gave in. But you didn't. That takes incredible strength." When we landed, I turned on my phone long enough to check for genuine emergencies. What I found instead was a Facebook message from Jennifer, Amanda's sister. "Michael had surgery this morning. He's going to be okay. The doctors say he should make a full recovery. No thanks to you. We had to figure it out ourselves. The whole family knows what you did. You're not welcome at any family gatherings anymore." I read it twice. Michael had surgery. He was going to be okay. They'd found the money somehow. They hadn't needed me after all. I showed Linda the message. "They found the money without you," she said. "Which means they never really needed you in the first place. It was a test. They wanted to see if they still controlled you. And I failed their test." "No, honey, you passed yours." I turned off my phone again and focused on the red rock landscape outside the window. Santa Fe sprawled below us, ancient and beautiful. Tom had always wanted to come here. Now I was here. Not with him, but for him. For us. For the dreams we'd shared. And for the first time in 3 years, I was putting myself first. The first 3 days in Santa Fe passed in a blur of color and light. The painting workshop was held at a renovated hacienda on the outskirts of town, all adobe walls and wooden beams, with massive windows overlooking the mountains. I shared a casita with Linda, and we fell into an easy friendship, the kind that happens when two people recognize kindred spirits in each other. I kept my phone off except for 1 hour each evening, just to check for genuine emergencies. What I found instead was a deluge of messages, each more accusatory than the last. Day 1. Michael is in recovery, has scared and in pain. We had to scramble to find the money. I hope you're proud of yourself. From Ryan. Day 2. The kids keep asking where you are. I told them Grandma chose a vacation over helping Uncle Michael. They're learning what kind of person you really are. From Amanda. Day 3. We've started a family fund to help Michael with his recovery costs. Everyone has contributed except you. We're keeping track. From Patricia. Each message hurt, but Linda reminded me that pain wasn't proof of wrongdoing. They're trying to make you feel guilty because it's the only power they have left over you, she said on our 3rd evening, as we sat on the casita porch watching the sunset paint the mountains gold and purple. I showed her the latest message. They started a family fund. Good. That's what families do. They pool resources and help each other, without making one person responsible for everything. On day 5, Ryan sent a long email. I read it while Linda was in the shower, getting ready for dinner. "Mom, I've been doing a lot of thinking. I looked back at the texts between you and Amanda from the past few months. I see now how harsh she was. I didn't realize it at the time. Or maybe I didn't want to see it. But you still should have helped with Michael. That was a medical emergency. And you had the ability to help. I'm really disappointed in you. The kids keep asking about you. Sophie cried last night, saying she misses Grandma. I don't know what to tell them anymore. Maybe you need to think about what kind of grandmother you want to be. What kind of mother. Because right now, I don't recognize you. I read it 3 times, my chest tight, the guilt was crushing. What kind of grandmother did I want to be? What kind of mother was I? Linda found me crying on the porch. What happened? I showed her the email. She read it carefully, then sat beside me. Classic manipulation. Notice how he acknowledges Amanda was wrong, but then immediately pivots to making you the villain? Notice the emotional blackmail with the children? What kind of grandmother do you want to be? That's designed to wound you where you're most vulnerable. But what if he's right? What if I'm being selfish? Carol, did Michael get his surgery? Yes. Is he going to be okay? Yes. So they found the money without you. Which means what? I wiped my eyes. They didn't actually need me. Exactly. They wanted to maintain control. They wanted to prove you'd still jump when they demanded. You didn't jump. And now they're punishing you for it. Over the next week, I threw myself into painting. Helen, our instructor, worked with each of us individually, teaching technique but also encouraging us to find our own voice. I discovered I loved painting desert landscapes, the way light played across sand and rock, the impossible colors of sunset. The other students were warm and supportive. During wine sessions in the evening, several of them shared their own stories of difficult family relationships. I realized I wasn't alone. This pattern of adult children taking advantage of generous parents was disturbingly common. One woman, Angela, had enabled her son's drug addiction for years by giving him money. I thought I was helping, she said, but I was killing him. When I finally cut him off, he hit rock bottom. That's when he got real help. Has been sober for 5 years now, and he thanks me for having the strength to say no. Another woman, Patricia, had funded her daughter's 4 business ventures, all of which failed because her daughter didn't have to face real consequences. When I stopped bailing her out, she finally got a regular job. Now she's successful and financially stable. She needed to learn to stand on her own. Their stories gave me perspective. Maybe saying no wasn't cruel. Maybe it was the most loving thing I could do. On day 10, Barbara from my painting class back home called. I'd given her my number before leaving, and we'd become close friends. Carol, I think you need to know something. My heart sank. What? I was at the mall yesterday with my daughter. We ran into Amanda and Patricia. They were at the furniture store, looking at dining room sets. Expensive ones. Okay. I overheard them talking while I was pretending to look at lamps in the next section. Patricia said something like, "I'm so glad we didn't have to use our cruise money for Michael's surgery. That GoFundMe page worked perfectly. We raised even more than we needed." The words didn't register at first. What? Carol, they raised money online. From strangers. And apparently, they raised more than they needed. My hands went numb. They had a GoFundMe. Yes. And from what I heard, they started it before they even came to you. I couldn't breathe. Linda came over, concerned, and I put Barbara on speaker. "Can you repeat that?" I asked. Barbara did, adding, "I'm so sorry, Carol. I thought you should know. It sounds like they never actually needed your money. They just wanted to see if you'd give it." After we hung up, I opened my laptop. It took me 5 minutes to find it. Help Michael walk again after devastating accident. The page had been created 4 days before Ryan and Amanda showed up at my house. 4 days. It already had $45,000 raised at the time they were demanding money from me. I scrolled through the updates. "Michael is out of surgery. Thank you all so much." Posted the day after I left for Santa Fe. Posted by Amanda. The comment section made me sick. Sending prayers and love. Thank God for communities that come together. And then, from Amanda herself. We're so grateful for this community's generosity. Unfortunately, some family members refuse to help in our darkest hour, but your generosity has restored our faith in humanity. I stared at the screen, rage and clarity warring inside me. They'd come to me with their hands out, making demands, crying about emergencies, guilting me about my cold heart, all while they had $45,000 already raised from strangers on the internet. They hadn't needed my money. They'd wanted my submission. Linda read over my shoulder. "What are you going to do?" I took screenshots of everything. The GoFundMe page, the timeline, the comments, Amanda's update. The total amount raised, $72,000. More than twice what Michael's surgery actually cost. "I'm going to finish this trip," I said, my voice steady. "I'm going to enjoy every single moment. And then I'm going home to make some permanent changes." I sent Ryan one text. "I know about the GoFundMe. Well, talk when I'm home." Then I blocked all their numbers. I turned off my phone and went to watch the sunset from the hacienda's rooftop terrace. The sky was on fire, orange and pink and purple bleeding into deep blue. Around me, my fellow painters were laughing, sharing wine, talking about the day's work. Linda came and stood beside me. "You okay?" "I will be." I took a deep breath of high desert air. For the first time in 3 years, I know exactly where I stand. They don't love me. They love what I can do for them. And now that I know that, I can stop hoping for something that was never there. That's heartbreaking. It is. But it's also freeing. I don't have to keep trying to earn their love. I don't have to keep proving my worth. I can just be Carol. Paint pictures. Travel. Invest. Live. The last week of the workshop flew by. I created a series of paintings that Helen called powerful and authentic. On the last day, she pulled me aside. "Carol, you've got real talent. But more than that, you've got something to say. These paintings are about more than landscapes. They're about freedom and boundaries and finding yourself. That obvious. To someone who's paying attention, yes. Have you thought about showing your work?" I never considered it. "There's a community gallery in Santa Fe that features emerging artists. I'd like to submit your desert series. Would you be okay with that?" My heart swelled. Really? You've found your voice, Carol. Don't hide it." On the flight home, I felt different. Stronger. Clearer. The guilt that had plagued me for the first few days had transformed into something else. Not anger, exactly, but resolve. I knew what I had to do. Susan picked me up from the airport. I looked tanned and healthy. My artwork was professionally packaged in my luggage. I felt 20 years younger. "You look amazing," Susan said. "I feel reborn." There was a note taped to my front door when we got home. "We need to talk. Come to our house when you get back. Ryan." I crumpled it without hesitation. "No, if they want to talk, they come here. On my terms." Susan grinned. "That's my girl." The reckoning was coming. But this time, I was ready. Ryan came to my house that evening. Alone. He looked exhausted, dark circles under his eyes, his shoulders slumped. I let him in but didn't offer coffee or food like I normally would have. We sat in my living room, a careful distance between us. "You know about the GoFundMe," he said. It wasn't a question. "Yes. You asked me for money you didn't need." He ran his hands through his hair. "It wasn't like that." "Then what was it like, Ryan? Explain it to me." "Amanda was angry with you. She wanted to prove a point, that she could manipulate me, that you were being selfish." I let out a bitter laugh. "By taking a trip I'd been planning for months? By setting boundaries after being told I'm always last? By cutting us off?" "I didn't cut you off. I stopped being an unlimited ATM. There's a difference." Ryan looked down at his hands. "I don't know how we got here, Mom." "I do." I pulled out my folder again, the one that had grown thicker with notes and documentation. "You got married 6 years ago. And slowly, month by month, year by year, you stopped seeing me as your mother and started seeing me as Amanda's problem to manage, a resource to tap when needed, a convenience when required. That's not true, isn't it?" When was the last time you came over just to spend time with me? Not to ask for money or drop off the kids, but just to talk. Just to see how I was doing. He couldn't answer. I opened the folder. $75,000 in 3 years, Ryan. Down payment on your house. Furniture. Preschool tuition. A loan to Michael that was never repaid. The Disney vacation. Weekly groceries. Holiday dinners. Gifts for everyone. Did you ever once say thank you? Did you ever ask what I might need? I thought you were happy to help. I was. At first. But somewhere along the way, it stopped being help and started being expectation, obligation, demand. I pulled out another page. Did you know that after your father died, not one person in Amanda's family asked me how I was coping? Patricia called me 3 times in those first 6 months. Every single call was asking me to babysit or contribute to something. Not once did she ask how I was doing. Ryan's eyes filled with tears. I'm sorry. I believe you. But sorry isn't enough anymore. You stood by while Amanda belittled me. You made excuses when she excluded me from family plans. You came to me with your hand out while treating me like I was an afterthought. I didn't see it that way. That's the problem. You didn't see it at all. You didn't see me. You saw a wallet that loved you. That's harsh, Mom. Is it? You showed up the morning of my trip, the trip I'd been excited about for months, and demanded $10,000 for an emergency that you'd already solved with a GoFundMe page. You tried to guilt me into canceling my trip, into proving that I was still under control. Ryan broke down. I didn't know about the GoFundMe page timing. I swear. Amanda told me we needed to ask everyone, that we were desperate. But you had the money already. I didn't know that. She manages all our finances. I softened slightly. Then maybe it's time you took an active role in your own family's financial decisions. She'll be furious. At who? Me or you? Both. I leaned forward. Ryan, I love you more than anything, but I can't have a relationship where I'm constantly disrespected and then guilted into apologizing for having boundaries. I won't do it. So what now? You're just cutting us off. No. I'm offering you a choice. Do you want a real relationship with me? One based on mutual respect, where we both give and take, where my needs matter as much as yours? Or do you want to keep the old dynamic, where I'm available when convenient, and invisible when not? A real relationship. Of course I want that. Then you need to have a serious conversation with your wife. Because the way things are isn't sustainable. I love my grandchildren desperately, but I won't be used as a weapon or a bargaining chip. I won't be told I'm last in priority while being first in financial expectation. Ryan nodded slowly. I need time to think. Take all the time you need. But know this. I'm done apologizing for having boundaries. I'm done making myself small to fit into other people's comfort zones. From now on, if you want me in your life, it's on terms of mutual respect. He left, and I felt both lighter and heavier. Lighter because I'd finally said everything that needed to be said. Heavier because I knew the battle wasn't over. 3 days later, I filed the small claims suit against Michael. $5,000, plus 18 months of interest. The court date was set for 3 weeks out. Amanda called from yet another number I hadn't blocked, screaming so loud I had to hold the phone away from my ear. How dare you sue my brother while he's recovering from a devastating accident? I waited for her to finish. When silence finally came, I spoke calmly. He owes me money. He agreed in writing to pay it back within 6 months. It's been 18 months. That's a legal debt. He almost died. And I'm genuinely glad he didn't. But that doesn't erase the debt. The court date is set. He can appear or not. That's his choice. You're vindictive and cruel. No, Amanda. I'm done being a doormat. There's a difference. I hung up and blocked that number too. The day before the court date, Ryan showed up again. But this time, he looked different. Clear-eyed. Resolved. He was carrying a folder of his own. Mom, can I come in? I let him in, curious about the change in his demeanor. He sat down without prompting, opened his folder, and pulled out bank statements. I've been going through our finances, really digging deep. looking at everything. And the GoFundMe money. We raised $72,000 total. Michael's surgery cost $45,000. Medication and supplies were another $2,000. That should leave $25,000. Should leave. Amanda told me it was all gone. Medical expenses, home care equipment for Michael. Medication. She said we barely broke even. But I checked. Michael's staying with Patricia and Gerald. They're caring for him. His medication is $300 a month, and he qualified for a pharmacy assistance program that covers most of it. The surgical center gave us an itemized bill, $45,000, just like they said. My eyes widened. Where's the rest of the money? He pulled out more papers. Amanda opened a separate account. Just her name. I found the statements in her desk drawer when I was looking for our tax documents. What's she doing with it? She bought a new car last week. $23,000. Told me her parents gave her their old SUV and it's sitting in our garage. I stared at the papers, proof of what I'd suspected, but hadn't wanted to believe. Ryan continued, his voice breaking. There are receipts for furniture, clothes, spa treatments, expensive dinners, all in the last 2 weeks. All from that account, the GoFundMe account that people donated to because they thought they were helping my brother avoid paralysis. Ryan. That's fraud. I know. Tears streamed down his face. I confronted her an hour ago. She said it was her family's money. They could do what they wanted with it. That Michael was fine. So it didn't matter. That people gave it freely, so she had every right to spend it. That's not how GoFundMe works. I know. I'm filing for separation, Mom. Maybe divorce. I can't be married to someone like this. I can't raise my children with these values. My heart broke for him even as I felt vindication. That's a big decision. I should have made it years ago. I should have stood up for you. All those times Amanda was rude or dismissive, all those times she made plans without considering you, all the money we asked for without really needing it. I see it now. And I'm ashamed. I moved to sit beside him, taking his hand. I know this is hard. Will you drop the suit against Michael? He really was a victim in all this too. He didn't know about the GoFundMe until after his surgery. Amanda and Patricia handled everything. I thought about it. If Michael comes to me himself and apologizes, acknowledges the debt, and sets up a real payment plan, yes, I'll drop the suit. Ryan nodded. Thank you. Where are you going to stay? Can I stay here? Just temporarily. Until I figure things out? I'll bring Sophie and Jake. I'll pay rent, buy groceries, help around the house. You don't need to pay me rent. But yes, you can stay. And the kids are always welcome. He hugged me tight, and I held my son, feeling like I was finally getting him back after years of losing him piece by piece. The next morning, before the court date, Michael called me. Mrs. Henderson. It's Michael. Can we talk? His voice was shaky, nervous. I put him on speaker so Ryan, who was having coffee with me, could hear. I'm listening. I'm so sorry. I had no idea Amanda borrowed money from you for me. She told me it was from her and Ryan's savings. I would never have taken it from you without asking. And I definitely wouldn't have left it unpaid for 18 months. Why didn't you ever mention it, even if you thought it was from them? Didn't you think to pay it back? I should have. I was embarrassed. I kept thinking I'd get a job and pay them back in one lump sum, but I kept putting it off. That was wrong of me. Yes, it was. I've been doing physical therapy, getting stronger. I got a part-time job at a warehouse, light-duty stuff while I build my strength back. I can't pay you all at once, but I can do $200 a month until it's paid off. With interest, like you deserve. I need that in writing, Michael. Absolutely. I'll come by today with a written agreement. And Mrs. Henderson? Thank you for helping me when you did. I should have said it before. I'm saying it now. I felt the tightness in my chest ease slightly. Apology accepted. Come by this afternoon. We'll draw up a proper payment agreement. Thank you. And I'm sorry about how my family treated you. I heard about all of it. What Amanda did with the GoFundMe money. I'm sick about it. That money was supposed to help me, but she used me to manipulate everyone. After we hung up, Ryan looked at me with respect. You gave him a chance to make it right. Everyone deserves that. But I'm not giving chances anymore without accountability. No more blank checks, financial or emotional. Michael came that afternoon with a handwritten agreement. $200 a month for 26 months to cover the $5,000 plus interest. He signed it, I signed it. Ryan witnessed it. We made copies. The first payment arrived the following week. True to his word, Michael never missed a payment. 2 months after I returned from Santa Fe, my life had transformed in ways I never imagined possible. Ryan and the kids moved in with me temporarily, which turned into a warm, respectful arrangement that worked for all of us. Ryan cooked dinner 3 nights a week, did yard work on weekends, and treated me like a partner in the household rather than a servant. Sophie and Jake flourished in the new environment. Without Amanda's constant tension and dramatic phone calls, the house felt peaceful. I babysat when I wanted to, spent time with them on my terms, and it was beautiful. Real, no obligations, just love. Ryan's separation from Amanda became permanent when she refused counseling and insisted she'd done nothing wrong. The divorce proceedings revealed even more. Amanda had been hiding purchases for years, had credit cards Ryan didn't know about, had made financial decisions that put their family in jeopardy. Ryan got primary custody when the judge reviewed all the evidence, including the GoFundMe fraud. Amanda's downfall was swift and comprehensive. Word spread through their community about the misused fundraiser money. The GoFundMe platform investigated and forced her to return the remaining funds to donors. Her reputation in town was destroyed. Patricia and Gerald were mortified. Even they stopped defending her after they learned the truth. I didn't gloat. I felt sad for the waste of it all, for what could have been if Amanda had just chosen honesty and respect over manipulation and greed. My life blossomed in unexpected ways. Dorothy's investment group became my Tuesday evening anchor. Wed made a 15% return on our bakery investment, and Id learned so much about business and finance. Martha helped me restructure my entire financial plan, setting aside funds for my future, for travel, for the grandchildren's education in a protected trust they couldn't access until college. My painting took off. Helen submitted my Santa Fe series to a gallery, and 3 pieces sold within the first month. I was commissioned to create a desert landscape series for a local doctor's office. The money wasn't life-changing, but the validation was priceless. I was an artist. At 65, Id discovered a new identity beyond grandmother and widow. I took the Portugal trip with Dorothy's travel group, 10 days of art, wine, history, and laughter with women who'd become genuine friends. I hiked the Camino Trail, visited ancient monasteries, painted coastal villages. I felt alive in ways I'd forgotten were possible. Barbara and I started a weekly coffee date where we worked on our paintings together. Susan and I planned a trip to Vienna for Christmas markets. Linda from Santa Fe and I stayed in touch, planning another painting workshop for the following year. On Thanksgiving, I hosted dinner at my house. But instead of the massive, stressful affairs of previous years, it was intimate and warm. Ryan and the kids, Susan, Dorothy, Linda, who flew in from Boston, Barbara, and Martha. 8 people who genuinely cared about each other. Ryan helped me cook. The kids made decorations. Everyone brought something to share. Before we ate, Sophie insisted on saying grace. Her small voice filled my dining room. Thank you, God, for Grandma's house and Grandma's love, and for Daddy being happy again, and for mashed potatoes. Everyone laughed, and I felt tears prick my eyes. This was family. Real family, built on respect and love, not obligation and guilt. On Christmas Eve, Ryan approached me while the kids were hanging stockings. Mom, I need to tell you something. My heart skipped. What is it? Amanda reached out. She wants to go to counseling. She says she's ready to change, that she'll do whatever it takes. What do you want? He looked at his children, then back at me. Part of me wants to try. For them, but a bigger part knows she hasn't really changed. She's just scared and alone. She hasn't apologized to you. She hasn't acknowledged what she did wrong. She just wants things to go back to how they were. Whatever you decide, I'll support you. But Ryan, don't go back because you feel guilty. Go back only if you truly believe she's capable of real change. And even then, protect yourself. Protect the kids. Require proof, not promises. Thank you, Mom. For everything. For standing firm. For teaching me what real love looks like. I'm sorry it took me so long to see it. You see it now. That's what matters. He decided not to reconcile with Amanda. The divorce was finalized in March. He got a promotion at work, moved into his own apartment with the kids, and we maintained our close relationship. I saw my grandchildren regularly, but on a healthy schedule that worked for everyone. On New Year's Eve, I sat on my porch wrapped in a warm blanket, watching fireworks explode over the neighborhood. I thought about the past year, all the pain and growth and transformation. I'd lost some relationships, but I'd gained myself. My bank account was healthier. My boundaries were stronger. My heart was fuller. I had friends, hobbies, plans, dreams. I was no longer Carol the doormat, Carol the ATM, Carol the last priority. I was just Carol, and that was enough. Sophie came outside, shivering in her pajamas. "Grandma, aren't you cold?" I lifted the blanket. "Come here, sweetheart." She curled up beside me, fitting perfectly against my side. We watched the fireworks in comfortable silence for a moment. "Grandma, why did you and Mommy fight?" I chose my words carefully. "We had different ideas about what family means. We're working on it. Do you still love me?" I pulled her closer. "More than all the stars in the sky. Daddy says you're braver now." I laughed. "Does he?" "Yeah. You're like a superhero. You stand up for yourself." "Is that what Daddy said?" "No. That's what I think." My heart swelled with love and pride. If I taught my grandchildren nothing else, let it be this. Self-respect isn't selfish. Boundaries aren't cruel. And love without respect isn't love at all. Thank you, sweetheart. For what? For reminding me why I did all of this. The last firework exploded, showering golden sparks across the sky. In that moment, I felt complete peace. I'd spent so many years making myself small to fit into other people's plans, contorting myself to meet everyone else's needs while ignoring my own. But not anymore. From now on, I came first in my own life, and that wasn't selfish. That was survival. That was love. That was freedom. I learned that you can't pour from an empty cup, that putting yourself first isn't selfish, it's necessary. I learned that love without respect is manipulation, and that being needed isn't the same as being valued. Most importantly, I learned that it's never too late to reclaim your life, to set boundaries, and to teach people, even your own children, how you deserve to be treated. The people who truly love you will rise to meet your standards. The ones who don't were never really there for you anyway. And that painful truth? It sets you free. Now, I want to ask you something. Have you ever found yourself giving and giving until there was nothing left? Have you ever been told that setting boundaries makes you selfish? How did you find the courage to put yourself first? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. If this story resonated with you, please give it a like. Subscribe to hear more stories about real people navigating difficult family dynamics and finding their strength. And share this with someone who might need the reminder that it's never too late to reclaim your life. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it reminds you that you are worthy of respect, your needs matter, and it's never too selfish to choose yourself. Here's to all of us who are learning to come first in our own lives. May you find the courage to set boundaries, the strength to hold them, and the peace that comes from knowing your worth. Remember, you teach people how to treat you. Make sure you're teaching them that you matter.